Hello and welcome to Top of the Line. I'm Nick Lynch.
Rocco Coppola along with you.
And we are deep into the second round of the NBA playoffs. So let's get started with your New York Knicks, Rocco. And I'm not going to lie, that was an upsetting weekend for you.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. At one point, you're you're a few seconds away from going up 3-0 in the series, 3-0. And then before you know it, in 2 days, it's 2-2. That's how quick things change in these playoffs. And it's inexcusable the way the Knicks played in Game 4. Game 3, okay, fine. You lost on a 3 that you had no chance of stopping, fine. But to come out that flat in Game 4, and I'm sorry, 7 of 37 from three-point range, I don't think they understand how bad that is. That's one of the all-time worst Knicks performances I've ever seen.
I agree with you. Like, that was the worst Knicks
Inexcusable.
game I've ever watched.
Inexcusable. A travesty.
Game 3 was a really good game. Andrew Nembhard gets the game-winning 3 for the Indiana Pacers to make it 2-1. And then, of course, you play on Friday night, you play Sunday during the day, so it's not as long of a rest as you usually get for the playoffs.
Inexcusable. Doesn't matter how long a rest of time. The Pacers didn't look phased. They didn't look tired at all. They came out. They executed to perfection, and this game was over within 5 minutes.
The Pacers beat the Knicks by 32 points in Game 4, and that was just...
Yes, and now the series is knotted up at 2-2 at the time of this recording on, I believe this is May 14th today?
This is, I think the 14th.
Whatever today is. At the time of this recording, the Knicks and the Pacers are playing tonight in the Garden in Game 5. So next time we speak to you, the series will more than likely be over. And speaking of series that'll be over, I don't think Cleveland had much of a prayer.
I don't think so either, especially with Donovan Mitchell being out for Game 4. It does not help them. The Celtics have that series locked up. I think, with Game 2 is a little sloppy for Boston, but they bounced right back in Games 3 and 4.
And the thing is,
definitely beat Cleveland.
The Cavs didn't even play that bad, too. That's the problem. But, when your team is very limited and Donovan Mitchell, Spider, doesn't even play for Game 4, you're not going to win. And credit to them. They played their hardest that they could, but it's just Boston's just a much bigger fish. And you could argue they're not even a fish. They might be the great white shark of the Eastern Conference.
I think that they're the great white shark of the league, not just the Eastern Conference.
I mean, you can make the argument for it. They've been basically the best team all year, 64-18. That's got to count for something. So the Cavs and the Celtics, it's been an interesting series to say the least. But more than likely, the next time we speak to you on air, the series is probably going to be over. So. Yeah. We'd imagine this will be over tomorrow night, but we could be wrong. You never know. We've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah.
But, the Eastern Conference seems pretty much like it's half and half. One series seems set in stone. One series is going to be set in stone after tonight. So let's see what these guys could cook up.
On to the West. So we have the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. After Minnesota took that 2-0 lead, everyone thought the series was over. Even I thought the series was over.
So did I.
And that Minnesota was going to sweep them. But the Denver Nuggets bounced right back and took Games 3 and 4 in Minnesota.
I mean, wow. I didn't expect the Nuggets to get swept, but I didn't expect them to win both games in Minnesota. This is where the Knicks, the Pacers, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, they're both in similar situations. But there's one big difference. You see, the Nuggets are going back home. The Nuggets are going back home, and they don't have to play, on the road again for at least another game. Where the Timberwolves, they started out 2-0 in Denver, but now they got to go back to Denver after losing at home. They didn't take care of home court. So who takes care of home court? Is that going to be a problem? Is that going to be a factor? Is that going to impact the series? We'll see. The Knicks are going back to the Garden, so that's the only positive note that they have. With that being said, I think the Nuggets they might come back and win tonight or whenever they play.
It is tonight.
It is tonight at the time of this recording, yes. Whoever wins tonight, I think, wins the series. Game 5 is going to tell a lot of stories in this playoff race.
I agree. I think Game 5, whoever wins Game 5, I think can win the series, if Denver especially.
Yeah, and Anthony Edwards needs a little more help. And help, I'm sorry. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and blame the refs for any of these games because, that's a lazy take. And especially with these guys right here, how can you blame the refs when you miss 11 free throws, Dallas?
Yeah, the Dallas Mavericks, they won Game 3, they lost Game 4, so the series is tied up at 2.
They had 3-1 right there, Nick. They were right there.
The It's a great series so far, but I think the Mavericks can still win
Yes.
and beat Oklahoma City.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to stick with my pick and take Dallas in 6.
I did pick Dallas in 6 too. It all depends on how Luka and Kyrie perform. Kyrie hasn't been on the score sheet that much, but we see he can get hot at any moment. Luka is battling an injury, so there's that. PJ Washington's been fun to watch too. But really, it's all about how they can contain Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Or Shea. I've heard a lot of people say his name differently. So we'll call him SGA just to avoid any incorrect name calling. SGA, top 3 candidate MVP. I like that. It's all about how you contain him. Josh Giddey. Just listen, Giddey's effective too. Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams. There's a lot of star power on that Thunder team. But the Mavericks, they have to just take care of it better. Jason Kidd, I don't know if he's the greatest coach, but they had 3-1 right there. You're right there. And now you got to go back to the Thunder's home court. Like, that's a hard place to play. So I don't like the Mavericks' chances if they lose Game 5.
I feel like with both teams, though, those are 2 fun teams to watch.
Yes,
the
very
Dallas
fun.
Mavericks.
Very fun.
The Thunder, they're a young team, and they're going to be fun to watch for many years to come.
Very quick rebuild, and you got to give them credit. They rebuild the team very fast,
Yes.
and I got a feeling they're going to be in these playoffs for years to come. Now, when we talk playoffs, there's other teams who didn't make the playoffs. Quite a few, quite a bit. This team could actually rebuild faster than we think, and we know we talk about us liking the playoffs, and we like to just do stuff. But there's one team that doesn't like the NBA draft lottery, and it's got to be the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, no, they had the worst record in the NBA this season and got the number 5 overall pick.
That's right. Yes.
That is actually crazy.
That's right. And, like, how do you lose? I believe it was somewhere between 28 and 25 games in a row to end the season, and you don't even get the number 1 pick. Listen, I've had my opinions on the NBA draft lottery for years now, and I don't know. I get it prevents tanking and all, but at the same time, like, come on, how are the worst teams not getting the top pick or even top 3? The Pistons aren't even picking in the top 3. They have the worst record. Meanwhile, the Wizards, 2nd worst record, 3rd worst. They're up there somewhere, but they're picking in the top 2.
Yeah.
And the Atlanta Hawks.
I don't understand how the Atlanta Hawks got the number 1 overall pick.
Trae Young's probably not leaving after this. He might. Actually, we'll see what happens with him in the summer. But I imagine he probably stays in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to stay.
Listen, the Hawks are going to speed up their rebuild very fast. And listen, it all depends on the coach, the players, the health. It's an aging core, but at the same time, they can rebuild very fast. That's not a bad team.
Think about this, Rocco. The Hawks had a 3% chance to get the number 1 overall pick.
3% is actually crazy.
Mm-hmm. And they got it. I don't know how, but this is what I hate about the NBA draft lottery, because the teams with the worst record, like the Pistons, they get like number 3 at most. But the Pistons ended up getting number 5. I hate that about the NBA draft lottery.
I still haven't forgiven Adam Silver. And yes, I say Adam Silver or Mark Tatum, whoever's in charge of the lottery. I still haven't forgiven them for not giving the Knicks Zion. We went 17 and 65 that year.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't forgiven them. But what can I do? What can we do? Nothing.
Well, that's it for us on the NBA here, but up next is Noah and Matt with the MLB.
Hello, and basketball season is over, so welcome back to a new segment on the MLB. Today we'll be covering the past week in the Major League Baseball. Let's start off with Saturday. We had the Yankees defeat the Tigers 5-3. Thoughts, Noah?
So I think the Tigers have become a lot better of a team than they were last year. I don't know if the record shows for them, but Riley Green, their center fielder rookie, has really stepped up for them and become a key player in that team, or the key player in that team. But, the Yankees obviously signed Juan Soto this past offseason. They look like a powerhouse, even though they've cooled off a little bit. But, I think pretty good win for the Yankees. They should be able to limit the runs better on the Tigers, let's be honest here. But, scoring 5 runs isn't easy in this game, and I think it was a great win for the Yankees.
Okay. Also, the Athletics defeated the Marlins 20-4. What a big game. What did you think of this?
Wow. So the Athletics and Marlins, 2 teams who will not be making the playoffs this year. But, 20-4, unheard of, especially from the Oakland Athletics scoring 20 runs. I don't even think they scored 20 runs all year last year. So it's a big win for them. They're not going to do much this year, but it was nice to see them win a game. And Miami's just been very bad this year. I don't think they're making any kind of splash in the playoffs. They got to build up this offseason.
Moving on to Sunday, we got the Mets coming close, but losing by 1 to the Rays. Thoughts?
As a Mets fan, this disappoints me. We were up a decent amount of that game, and obviously the Rays aren't a team to be joking with, and just the Mets need to do better. The Mets have been a boring team all year. I think by the trade deadline, Pete Alonso will not be a Met anymore, and I think once he's not a Met, I feel like we have to empty the ship a little bit. I feel like we have to trade off a couple of players, and I think we just need a fresh start because we're in the Cohen era now. And we still have players who have not been from there, and this team has just looked very bland, very boring, especially the hitting. The pitching this year has been better than it was last year, but at the same time, last year was really the year we traded off all of our old pitchers, as I like to call the senior home. But I think the Mets need to do, I wouldn't say need to do better, I just feel like they need to drop ship a little bit. I feel like they need to empty players on, and obviously, the Rays are a great team. Good job to them for winning and sweeping us in the series. But Mets need to do better. Mets need to empty the ship.
Now, which team would you say is doing like the best out of all of them and is to look out for? Other teams should look out for.
It's a team in the NL, and it's a very close battle between the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers. But I think so far the Phillies have just been better. The Phillies have caught fire in the past week, I'd say, and their hitting has looked good. The pitching has been good, and there's really no flaw to their game recently. And obviously, the Dodgers built up this entire offseason. They're a powerhouse, but I just feel like the Phillies have been better recently, and I think that's going to keep happening, or the Dodgers could go catch fire, but the big thing with the Dodgers, they got Ohtani, obviously, biggest move in the past couple of years in baseball, but he can only hit, Matt. He's getting Tommy John surgery. He can't pitch. He can only hit, and that's a big flaw because as good of a hitter as Ohtani is, as good of a generational of a hitter as Ohtani is, he's also an amazing pitcher. He's, I'd say, top 5 in the league pitching, and not having that on your team is a huge flaw, and I think the Phillies pitching with Nola and Wheeler has been a lot better than the Dodgers pitching with Yamamoto, and I just think the Phillies are going to continue to catch fire while the Dodgers cool off a little bit.
Let's talk about one of the best players, arguably best players currently, Mike Trout and his injury. How do you think this affected his season?
Obviously it's terrible for Mike Trout, but I feel like this is a reoccurring theme. I feel like he gets injured every single year recently, and Matt, he's up there in age, and let's be honest, the Angels aren't doing anything. That's why they got to let Ohtani leave, and that's why their record is what it is right now. And Mike Trout, obviously, hope he gets better, but I think soon it's going to be time for Mike to hang up the cleats. I feel like it's just reoccurring theme, injury after injury after injury. He can't even play a full season. I don't think he's played a full season in probably 5 years, but maybe even more than that. But I think soon this is it for Mike Trout. I feel like I give him one more season, use him conservatively so he doesn't get hurt again, but I feel like this is it for him.
Well, that's all for baseball talk today, but don't move because next up is Andrew and Marco on soccer.
Hello, I'm Marco Baldino.
And I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi.
And we will be covering this week's games in the Premier League. So let's start off with Man United versus Arsenal.
As true Man United fashion, they failed this game.
Yeah.
It was 0-1, surprisingly. Arsenal got the victory. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, Arsenal really capitalized on a horrible Man United defense. Man United, they really need to get together next season. I know they're definitely going to get new center back, but this is where they just struggled today, in that game right there.
Yeah, the
defense really struggled.
Yeah, it really struggled there. This would give Arsenal a boost for their supposed first place, but
oh yeah, they'll still give them a good title race. It's gonna come down to the final day.
it will come down to the final day.
Yeah.
But at least with that.
Yeah, and Man United were hoping and try and make a comeback after their 4-0 loss against Crystal Palace.
Really,
But
4-0?
really, yeah.
Oh my god. They got absolutely destroyed that game. I didn't even know.
And you see Old Trafford at the end of the game, just complete rainfall. It's just,
Oh yeah, I heard. That was pretty unfortunate that happened.
Yeah,
But-
it's just really it was going down.
Yeah, it was going down. Just like their defense, how it went down as well, surprisingly. So we would have our next game.
Yep, Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest. A good win for Chelsea, but this would leave Nottingham Forest still in danger of relegation.
But hey, it's a win for you, at least. And a good news for you is that finally Chelsea in the placings is above Man United. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm surprised we've gotten this far, and we keep winning. And like just our recent game against Brighton now, 2-1. Chelsea is starting to look sharp, but at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know. But there is
still,
always a
we
chance.
are in 6th place, which put us, I think, maybe in the Conference League. I don't know. I forgot
There's a
the
slight
placing.
chance, because
but,
Tottenham is
yeah.
there. Tottenham is in 5th.
They're in 5th.
So they might go to, I think, the conference.
No, they go to
Or-
Europa League. I think.
I think it's
I don't know how the placings goes exactly.
But you still
but-
have a chance
yes.
or a shot, so I can at least give you that.
yeah,
At least this game was pretty entertaining. I'll give it that.
it was really. I feel like I found it entertaining.
Yeah, I also give it entertaining. So, for our final game, it would be Man City versus Tottenham. A must-win for Man City turns out to be a must-win for us. 0-2, with Haaland scoring both goals in this game, as it was a regular goal and a penalty.
Yes.
So I'm very happy that we won this game, and we are now in first place now in the standings.
Oh yeah, this guy's put you in first place now. Now like everyone's up on the games played, and in this game I feel like Man City mostly controlled the whole game. They could have had more goals, but also Tottenham could have had maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, in like the first half, it was kind of scoreless. How like they were always on the attack.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, like when Haaland scored the first goal, I felt like Tottenham was getting a little bit aggressive, especially with
Yeah.
De Bruyne and the goalie, especially the goalie. The 61st minute, I was like, wow, that he got hit. And then, of course, they got subbed.
Yeah, Ederson gets subbed out now. They're subbed now. Ortega, the bench goalie, comes on.
Yeah, I'll
Hopefully.
give him kudos for that. He really helped as well to prevent the Tottenham goals to keep
Yes.
it scoreless.
In the I think like the 86th minute, Heung-min Son comes like on a breakaway with a little bit of pressure on his
Yeah.
back, and Ortega just stretches out and.
Yeah, so I'll give
clears
him
it with
kudos
his
for
leg.
that. He was able to stop
Yep.
a lot of goals in the second half.
That was a very critical point in the game because that could have changed the whole outcome of like everything.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And then
yeah,
of course,
of the table, and then just of the game. Could have
Yeah.
been a tie.
then there was the penalty with Haaland in which he scored it, so it ends up being 0-2. So I'm a little bit excited to see if we could win our game against Western Ham.
Yeah.
So
And you can see like Pest's reaction throughout the whole game. Like he was going just back and forth. Just he was even laying on the ground like he couldn't believe like what was going on sometimes.
exactly. So the pressure's a little bit on. We'll see till next week to see
Yep.
who wins the Premier League once and for all. I hope that Man City would get a decent amount of goals for Western Ham. So
Oh yeah.
there goes.
You
There
guys
might be-
definitely got it against West Ham. If you guys
Yeah.
really choke this will be
It would be
very embarrassing.
It'd be
for you
very
guys.
embarrassing. So I hope that Arsenal doesn't jump back up
Yeah.
against their next game. So we have our standings. In first place, Man City with 88 points. In second place, Arsenal with 86 points. In third, Liverpool with 79 points. In fourth, we have Aston Villa with 68. And in fifth place, Tottenham with 63.
Yeah, and then like Tottenham also at that game trying to win to try to get a Champions League spot,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
it
of
didn't
course
work
they
out.
failed.
It's
And-
Man City, so it's not easy to beat them.
Yeah, it's not very easy to beat them. Plus, they also had Chelsea as well for
Yeah.
competing for that. But we will
Yeah.
have to see for next week to see
Yep,
how it all goes down.
yep, all in one day.
All in one day. All at 11 in one day.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week for a recap of NFL and NBA basketball games and the continuing coverage of soccer. All of this and more on the next episode of Top of the Line.